Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight to enjoy the air conditioning here in Powell's. Scott tells me that the usual format is to go until about 8:30, and then for the people that want to escape, but buy a copy of a book on the way out. That way they're able to do that. So I'm going to keep it real short so we can throw this session open for what I'm sure is going to be a lively discussion as quickly as possible. See a lot of experienced labor, community, and political activists from the city and the state, and I think it'll be a lot more interesting to have a discussion than listen to any monologues from me. I do want to start off in a fashion probably that's more befitting a bar mitzvah boy than a book party, an author at a book party, and there's a lot of thank yous here that I want to make, particularly the Local 5 folks. Started contacting Mary Winzig and Ryan Takis, who put me in touch with Kevin Sampsell, who made a lot of the original arrangements, and put me in touch with Jan, and now with Scott tonight. It's a rare pleasure to be having an event like this, as you know, in a unionized bookstore. There aren't many of them, so let's hear it for Local 5. We should have more Powell's, 2-3 many. And I tell people wherever I can, this is the spot to order the book online, not Amazon, which my old union CWA has a bit of history with, and as we know is not union. Other sponsors I want to acknowledge and thank. There's a number of folks here tonight from Portland Jobs with Justice. Sister Margaret Butler led the charge with the usual great turnout. From my own alma mater, CWA, Local 7901 President, Madeline Elder. A great new addition to the CWA International Executive Board. Does everyone know that the Madeline Elder that you've known and loved and worked with for years is a local president, has an international position, adding much needed diversity to our CWA Executive Board. From the Teamsters, a number of old friends, and of course I want to thank Tom Leadham, who's here tonight, for the sponsorship of Local 206. But a number of folks, longtime TDU activist, Brother Bill Slater, didn't come all the way up from California just for this, but he's here. Laureen Shear, who also was very active in the reform movement, now working for SEIU. I know Laureen. Last but not least, let me recognize a couple of the publications that are sponsors. Labor Notes. At every one of my little book events, I've duty-bound to hand out free copies of Labor Notes. This is the August issue. Free samples. If you are not a subscriber, want to check it out. And again, I want to thank the publisher of the book. Labor Notes is only 30 years old this year. Monthly Review Press was founded in 1949 and is 60. My own age, so I'm definitely rooting for Monthly Review to have another 60 years. Great progressive publisher, and also puts out a very good magazine I'm sure some people subscribe to. Let me recognize a very important fellow labor writer and activist, co-author of Solidarity Divided, who many of you may have read, Brother Fernando Capucin, come all the way in from Bend, Oregon, which I hear involves a little weaving your way through the mountains. I want to also thank my brother and sister-in-law, my daughter's partner. A number of family members are here to add to the turnout. All of them were flown in for the occasion. No. Several of them actually live here. I want to thank some of the local alternative media folks who helped promote tonight's event. Peter Shapiro and Jamie Partridge, are they here by any chance? They do a terrific show, as you probably know, Labor Radio Show on KBOO. We had a great chat on Monday night. Tom Hartman also plugged it, and Carl Wolfson this morning on the morning show, KPOJ. Long live progressive alternative radio. It's kind of funny, having been on a number of these radio shows, and this didn't happen with any of the aforementioned talk show or book chat show hosts, but some of them have occasionally stumbled over the title of the book. And at least twice in recent weeks, I've been introduced to, I'm sure, rather baffled radio listeners as someone who was for many years in bed with organized labor. since that particular reworking of the title comes across as a bit unsavory, politically speaking, perhaps even a bit salacious, and as some folks know here, is very far from the truth. I've had to eat up valuable on-air book peddling time, kind of setting the record straight that this is, and I will repeat here tonight, not a kiss-and-tell memoir of my secret life with John Sweeney or Junior Hoffa or, Lord forbid, my dear old friend Andy Stern. So let me just say, before we throw this open, a few words about what is in the book and how it draws on the experience I was very privileged to have for nearly 30 years working in the Northeast. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to work in the Northwest, but in the Northeast as an organizer and international rep for CWA. Because the book, even though it's a collection of essay reviews, does try to draw on my experience and what I learned working with CWA members in the telephone industry and other industries, helping them out with contract grievances, contract negotiations, organizing strikes, steward training, the full range of day-to-day trade union activity, which I think, there's a lot of people who write and talk about labor, and then there's also people that go out and try to make things happen, do trade union work. And the writing and talking part, I can tell you from just having spent full time on that for the last 2 years, a lot easier than the doing part. And we have a lot of doers in the room here tonight who can attest to that. But I like to think that some of the material in the book integrates the insights of reading, of reflection, of discussion with some practical experience. And I'll run through the contents real quick, and then we'll throw it open for questions. The first part of the book is an attempt to figure out what might be useful or helpful or relevant to labor activists today from labor history. Some of the pieces look at particular figures that many people here worked with at one time or another. Tony Mazzocchi from the Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers, who was a pioneer in the field of occupational health and safety, helped lead the initiative to try to form a labor party a number of years ago, was a strong advocate for union democracy and reform within his own union, was really more than anyone other individual responsible for passage more than 35 years ago of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. So in that section of the book, I try to look at people in the labor movement in the past and the present whose careers, whose commitment, whose handling of the challenges of day-to-day trade union work and a political commitment to a more fundamental transformation of the economy. Many of them are or were communists or socialists or members of the IWW. And it seemed to me that their stories were certainly inspiring to me in many cases and might also be of interest to the current and hopefully younger generation of labor activists who are coming up through the ranks and also getting involved in the labor movement from workers' centers and community organizations and campus-based labor activism. The next section deals with the always thorny question of race, class, and gender as they intersect in American labor, past and present. Nobody has written about this better, in my view, recently than Brother Fernando and his co-author Bill Fletcher in Solidarity Divided. But it's an attempt to acknowledge that the great diversity of the labor movement in this country and the working class is both a source of strength and also has been a source of internal tensions that clearly some unions have been better at resolving than others.